So, hello, comrades. Today, unfortunately, comrade Ramiro will not come. In the last minute, he cancelled our meeting. We will reschedule our meeting to next Sunday, 26 December. But because I am prepared for the subject, and also because there is the comrade Artistish with me, who also know this subject, the revolution in Latin America. So we will try to speak about this subject without comrade Ramiro, and next week he will continue our try to present you the revolution in Latin America. So firstly, it will be presentation and comment of our photos. So firstly, as you see, it's a Nicaragua. Comrade Artistish, do you want to say something about this photo or not?
Do I want to say something about this photo? Well, okay, it's a map of Nicaragua, which is in the Central America, between, as you can also see, between Honduras and Costa Rica. It's a very crucial point where, for example, the USA has tried to establish a port that would connect the two oceans between, and it is a crucial geopolitical, I should say, geopolitical point for the area. Yeah.
Okay, so now is the second photo. It's Andrew Albert Cesaro Sandino, and one thing which is very important to explain is that this revolution, Sandinista Revolution, which is started in 1979, it is not a revolution with this guy. This guy, he makes struggle before Second World War. It is something I remember that when I was young. I think that when I heard about this revolution, I think that he is the guy who lived in 1980s. But no, he's not from 1980s. He is he make struggle against the US before in 1920s, I suppose. Could you say something more, comrade, about Sandino?
Well, Sandino is the namesake of the Sandinistas movement. And Sandinistas were a group of revolutionaries that went against the Spain and the colonial what's the word? The colonial take of the land, and sorry.
No, it's not our fault. The comrade Ramiro, it's he who has to present this Sandinista Revolution. For all the comrades from all over the world, I need to say that from Polish perspective, the revolution in Nicaragua and all the Sandinista movement, it is something totally unknown. Nobody speaks about this in Polish media. There are no any leftist organization who is interested about this, but also there are no any anti-communist media who are interested about the revolution in Nicaragua. Normally, we can we can learn many things from the anti-communist propaganda. Of course, this anti-communist propaganda, it is a lot of lies, but we knew that, okay, if they criticize the Soviet Union, we know that in Soviet Union or Russia there was a revolution. They criticize China, they criticize Vietnam, Poland. So we have a lot of knowledge about all these places where we have a revolution. And in countries like Poland, it's impossible to wake up, to turn on the media without information about bad Stalin, bad Soviet Union, bad Fidel Castro, or bad I don't know, North Korea. But the Polish anti-communist propaganda, and not also Polish anti-communist, because I am living in France, and in France also they are not speaking about Nicaragua. Nobody is interested about this. It is why I was so interesting to invite the comrade Ramiro, because he is expert. I think that he's one of the most important experts from this subject. He went to Nicaragua, he made a lot of videos about this, he explained what is the this revolution in this country, and now we have to improvise without him. So the Sandino, it is historic leader of the Nicaraguan people who organized the fight against the U.S. imperialism. But this revolution, which took place in 1970s, it was the leader of this revolution. It is this guy. It is Daniel Ortega. He was the leader of the organization FSLN. It is Front Sandinista Liberation Nacional or something like this. It is Front of Sandinista National Liberation.
Liberation.
And so he was the leader of this revolution. And now in the 1990s, this group of guerrillas was kicked out from power, and they returned to power in 2006. And now, I think 1 month ago, there was an election, and Daniel Ortega was re-elected like a president of Nicaragua. So he's still in power. And what? So as you see, this is the meeting of this movement. It is the mass movement FSLN that people in this country they support the Daniel Ortega, and this is very important, that it is not something artificial, but it is something very, very, how to say, in the background of this society. So here is who is in this photo? Maybe you will try to explain.
So this is Hugo Chavez with
President of Republic of Iran. In his name it was Ahmadinejad. Ahmadinejad. I don't know how to pronounce, but a very, very difficult name. Now he's no longer president of Iran, but he was president in the time of the Hugo Chavez. And it is very interesting that in the time when the NATO countries, especially a guy named Samuel Huntington, he created the theory about the clash of the civilization, that the most important fight in the modern world, it is fight between the civilization, and one of the things which creates civilization, it is the religious question. And from the perspective of this Huntington, this photo is impossible to make. The guy who represents the Islamic Republic of Iran is in good relation with Hugo Chavez, who is not only socialist but also Catholic. So you see that this propaganda about the clash of civilization not working, because these two countries, Iran and Venezuela, of course there are a lot of difference between these countries, but there are similarity. One of the most important similarity that these two countries were in the blockade and still are in the economic blockade and sanction made by the US imperialist countries. And the relations between these countries are very, very good. I don't know, are still now, but was in
They
the
are.
time of, they are, yes.
Venezuela was one of the biggest helpers during the pandemic to Iran, I think, after China. Yeah.
And I wanted also to say that one thing which is important about Iran, that it is not only the Islamic Republic of Iran, but Bruno, one time when he speak about Iran and about economic system in Iran, this system is very, very similar to the economic system which existed in socialist countries. That the most important thing is that the market is not working in Iran, that there are no free prices, that everything are, that the prices of the things are controlled by the state. So the state decided what is the price of the petrol, the state decided what is the price of the food and other stuff. And of course, I don't want to say that Iran is I don't know, totally socialist country, because it's not. But the level of the how the state are try to control this economy, it is something which is one of the reason why the Western countries attacked Iran. It is not a question of religion, because if it is question of religion, they will attack all the Islamic countries. But they are very in good relations with the countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Emirates, and others, which are part of the global economic system, financial system. Iran is not a part of this world. Iran tried to build use the resources of Iran, the petrol and other stuff, to make rich the society of Iran. And it is something which is forbidden in capitalist countries, that your resources have to be good for the corporation, not for your nation. And because of that, Iran and Venezuela are attacked all the time. Okay, so it is the photo of the election. I don't know, it is election in 2021 or one of the election which was before. We need to say that this election, which was won by the Daniel Ortega, was of course not approved by the United States. United States tried to organize the colored revolution in Nicaragua. It is one of the most important subject, and it is very bad that Comrade Ramiro is not with us. Already in the 1980s, the United States organized the counter-revolutionary activity of the guerrillas. They tried to there was a civil war in Nicaragua in this time.
Yeah.
A few years ago,
it was a called Contra War.
Yes,
just for anybody to Google it, it was called Contra War, and it was specifically under Reagan administration.
And could you find information when was this colored revolution? Because 2 or 3 years ago there was an attempt to make a colored revolution in Nicaragua.
2018.
2018, yes.
Yeah,
So
18, yes.
so they organize this information I have from the Caleb Mopin YouTube channel. He speak about this. So it was very violent because these colored revolution force are
Yeah.
very aggressive, and it provoke a lot of I think that 300 people died because of this.
253 exactly, and over 1,300 was injured.
So the US firstly they organized the colored revolution, and after they want to spread information in the world that the Daniel Ortega is a dictator, cruel dictator who
Yeah.
killed more than 200 citizens of his country, blah blah blah.
Yes.
And they were very they wanted to kick him out in this last election. But fortunately he won one more time, and the US they don't approve this result. And in
Yeah.
the summit for the democracy, which are taken place 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago, they invite guys like Bolsonaro, but they don't invite nobody from Nicaragua,
Mhm.
and because of that, because they don't like him.
Yeah, they again claimed that it was rigged, whatever. But it was not rigged when there was color revolution and this woman that was backed up by CIA won. But okay.
Okay, so it is Daniel Ortega who visited Fidel Castro.
Castro.
I think that Fidel is already ill in this photo, and
Yeah.
one it is now it is the subject one of the most important for me. Not I think not for me only for me, because what is something which is unique for these revolutions in the Latin America. I think that because all the socialist revolution in the world are against bourgeoisie, most of them are against the Western imperialist countries, and there are a lot of similarities. But there is one thing which is unique for this Latin America, especially when we try to analyze this movement from the Polish perspective. From Polish perspective, in my opinion, the Catholic Church in 1980s have a very controversial role. It was used. It was a tool of the Western countries to destroy socialist movement in Poland, and with success they destroyed the socialism in Poland. So it was a tragedy for the Polish workers because it was a privatization, unemployment, homeless, blah blah blah. But also the second tragedy of Polish nation, it is a clericalization which provoked the interdiction of abortion, the persecution of the sexual minorities, and many other stuff which is normal for the society ruled by the bishops. So from Poland perspective, from last 30-40 years in Poland, I can say that Catholic Church in Poland, it is the reactionary force. One thing which I don't understand, it is this theology of the liberation and the using Bible, using Catholic priest who was a member of this guerrilla movement. For me, it is something very strange. What do you think about this?
Okay, so one thing that I will note is that Catholic Church as the institution has been used by the colored in the colored revolution as well. And it was weaponized the same kind of way that it would be anywhere else. Um, and that I will also like backtrack a little bit in general, like the way that we don't know anything about what happens in Latin America specifically, is the language barrier. They mainly speak Spanish. Some of them speak Portuguese, and we don't understand those languages at large. And it's vice versa. They also don't understand what we are saying. So this is one of the reasons why we don't hear anything from them. It's also the second reason is also that most of the population is very conscious. They are very specifically, as we are talking about the history of Nicaragua, they are very politically conscious and they are very pro-socialist. And this is not something that the bourgeoisie media wants us to hear. So it is also not sought out. So, and this also kind of relates to this topic that we're talking about right now, which is religion. They don't want us to hear that it can be also used for those good purposes, that it is a possibility that the church and the religion is something to be used for pro-socialist movement. Yes. But I'm sorry, I forgot the question. Can you repeat?
The question, do you recognize this guy in this photo?
Yes. Do you mean the left or the right?
The both of them.
Well, so this is Polish Pope.
With Daniel Ortega.
With Daniel Ortega, okay.
So you see the Pope, which in Poland is presented like a guy who was the leader of fighting with communism. In the same time, he visited the socialist guerrillas in Nicaragua and give them, I don't know, morally support. Of course, he was not, but in this complicated diplomatic relations, when somebody came to another country, it's very often presented like that he supports him or he don't want to isolate him, and it is for the I think it is the question for the comrade Ramiro, but I think that for these guerrillas of the FSLN, it was not only the pragmatic way using Pope to show them that we are independent country, but it was something important, that they believe in this Bible, they believe in Jesus. And Pope, when came there, and so they were happy because of visit of Pope, and and
okay, you know what? I will speculate one thing, that the visit of Pope is like if not anything else, it's like a publicity stunt, so that the history of Honduras and the history of Nicaragua gets, and the history of Sandinistas and the whole history of the liberation of Latin America and South America gets traction, so to speak, that it gets talked about, that it gets publicity, like that people outside of that geographical area hear about. So that's my 2 cents.
I think that it could be right if I invite a Pope. If I take a power and I invite a Pope, it will be only publicity, because I am not Christian. But in this FSLN, one of the members who fight with the gun was a Catholic priest. So it was not a it was like in Poland, the cursed soldiers. In the cursed soldiers also we can find the example of the Catholic priests who participated in the guerrilla, but this guerrilla in Poland was reactionary, and this guerrilla movement in Nicaragua was progressive. Okay, so maybe I will now I will we will continue this subject, but I prepared also another presentation. So another presentation is this woman. This woman, she was elected 1 or 2 weeks ago. She's name is Xiomara Castro, and she
Xiomara, I
is
think it's pronounced.
Xiomara
Xiomara, yeah.
Xiomara Castro, and she is elected of the president of the Honduras. She is leftist, what is important for us. As you see here, maybe it's not good photo, but she is leftist, and so it is one of the another examples of the left wave in Latin America. I remind that 1 year ago we had election, return to power of Bolivian party movement towards socialism, the movement of the Evo Morales, but now is another leader in Bolivia. So they won against the putsch organized by the USA, organized by the Elon Musk. So it's Bolivia. We had an election in Peru where the Pedro Castillo won election. We had re-election in the local regional election of the party, Socialist Party in Venezuela a few weeks ago or a few months ago. So 3 country, 4 country, third country, it is Nicaragua, where the Daniel Ortega won election, and now we have this woman Xiomara Castro, who ran election in Honduras, and I think that all these candidates are very, very similar. And what do you think about this wave?
What do I think? Can you say again?
What do you think about this leftist wave in Latin America? That so many candidates which are represent the poor people are build a mass movement and they won election.
Well, as I said before, like it shows how much more conscious the people there are, first of all, and second of all, it shows that they have the right strategy for first for winning mass support and second for winning the elections. So there is certainly a lot of things that Western leftists should study and learn from.
I forgot to say about Xiomara Castro that she a little is similar to the not from the political of view, but it is similar story to the story of from Belarus. From Belarus, we have history of the blogger, which was very famous. His name is Chichanowski, and his Chichanowski was one of the most important concurrents of the Alexander Lukashenko. He was arrested, and recently, because of his counter-revolutionary activity, he was condemned for 18 years of prison. So in last election, Chichanowski, he pushed his wife to present herself like a candidate. His wife, Sietuana, don't have political experience, but because of her name, because of his husband, she received, I don't know, 10% of votes, and the most important is that the Western countries, especially Poland, all the time they try to present Cichanouska like a president of Belarus. The politic activity of Xiomara Castro is we need to say something about her husband. His husband is Manuel Zelaya, and he was president of Honduras. And in 2009, he was there was a coup d'état, putsch. There was a putsch in Honduras, and they kick him out. So she come back to power. I think that she is that this one of the reason why she's popular, why she won election, it is that she was a wife of this guy Manuel Zelaya, who already tried to have some the leftist reform, but I know it's. I am not, and Comrade Ramiro is important here because he came from Honduras. The Honduras and Nicaragua is a country which are neighbors and the same language, a lot of similarities. So it is one of the reasons why he know the history of Nicaragua, but he know also his country Honduras, and he could more explain who was Manuel Zelaya. Now I tried to read something, but it will be not good for the viewers that will present it. So I think that most of these things which I wanted to present today, we already presented. So the photo, the history. Now we can continue this discussion. We can continue discussion with viewers. If somebody have question about this subject or another subject, we can discuss. Do you want to add something?
Do I want to add something? Well, we didn't talk about what the Sandinistas changed, and we didn't talk about any.
Okay. So
Yes.
I will remove this and add this. If you are ready to present Sandinista movement, the floor is yours.
Okay. Okay, so the Sandinistas, the way they operated and the way they changed and improved, conditions for people is a few ways. So, for example, they did agrarian reforms. So they took the land from the hands of the bourgeoisie and they what's the word, repurposed it. They're repurposed. No, that's not the right word. But they, well, basically spread it among the people, right? Like they just gave out this land to people in need. Another of the conditions that they improved is food sovereignty. Nicaragua, sorry. Nicaragua is the country that produces over 90% of their food in their country. They are independent food-wise. They paved and build hundreds of roads connecting like very far away places that didn't have the connections. They built public housing units. They had access to free education that the state provided. Also, similarly to Cuba, they had free, well, they still have free healthcare. One of the biggest hospitals in the Managua state, either state or city, but I think it's a state. In the Managua state, is receiving most of the bourgeoisie people because they don't want to use the expenses and go somewhere outside of the country. They would rather go to a public hospital. And then they connected what's the word for that? And they connected well, never mind that. But they also had one more thing. Let me see. Oh, all right. They also had access to electricity and clean water for the whole population, which they didn't have before. So yeah.
So the most important things about this, all these changes which you said, is that in the same time when Nicaragua, which is ruled by the leftist government, trying to change country for the better, in the same time in United States and other countries with the neoliberal contra-revolution, the situation is different. That every year the situation for the working class is worse and worse. You said something about roads. That yes. Somebody can ask question, who cares about roads? But the reality of the United States, and this reality we seen in the electoral campaign in 2016, was that Trump said a lot of true about the destruction in the United States. He said that he visited all over the world, and it's a guy who became president of the United States, said that the railways, the airports, the roads in United States, it's a level of third world countries. They are distracted, nobody repaired this, and it's old, it's not renovated, and it is one of the symbol of the decline of the American imperialism. And in the same time, these things, the Caleb Maupin, who was the observer of this election in Nicaragua 1 month ago, he said that the quality of roads in Nicaragua are better than the roads in United States. So you see that the richest country in the world and one of the poorest country in the world have better infrastructure than United States.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's just it. But it's wealthy not in terms of wealthy for the people. It's wealthy for the bourgeoisie, for this 1% that mostly live in one specific or a few specific places, and the conditions for them are good, but it's not the conditions. The living conditions are not good for the mass population. That's the point, actually.
Okay, do you want to add something? Because if not, I suggest that we can continue this discussion, but not about Latin America, but we can discuss about Poland. What's happened
Mm-hmm.
about Poland, and maybe somebody wants to. What do you think about this? Because I
Mm,
think that these things which we need to present, that in
mm-hmm.
the very far country Nicaragua there is a revolution. We already said. Now we need details, and these details it's better when the comrade Ramiro will make his job. Uh,
Okay.
okay, so I will finish this. We can make like this. And now we can respond for the. If you have some question about Poland, you can ask. I have question for you. Could you say something about this soldier who in Friday who went to Belarus and he who accused Poland about the genocide?
I have only seen like I haven't read anything about him. But from what you just said, yeah, I mean that's correct. Like that is correct. Like the way that people think of genocide is like it has to be like so many. It has to be like a very high number of people dying at the same time. No, it's not. It's about the conditions that a group of people in a place is denied to result in a unnecessary death. That's genocide. Uh, so yes, Poland is committing genocide. He is right, and I support his uh, turnaround or whatever. Like, yeah, like I support
No,
that.
I think that we can compare him to the Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden
Oh yeah,
worked for U.S. Army, and because he understand what the U.S. Army make, that listen of the people, he decided to go out from USA. Now he is living in Russia. And this guy, he in the same day when he fled Poland, he crossed the border. He go to Belarus and he demanded the political asylum from the Belarusian state. It is important from my perspective because I am waiting from my I am accusing for two things and I can go to prison for 4 years. So
yeah,
maybe also I will demand the President Lukashenko of political
asylum.
asylum.
Yeah.
And I heard that already it was Friday when he give interview, and Sunday already he resigned his flat. He have fled in Belarus. So it is
That's
a
good.
country. Yes. In Poland, you have to wait 30 years for the flat, and you are the
Oh
slave
yeah.
of the bank. And he go to Belarus already. Is flat who are waiting for him. So he said two things important. First things is that the Polish soldiers in they are killing the migrants. And second thing which he said, that Polish soldiers killed two Polish activists who wanted to support these migrants. And it's very
Mm-hmm.
important that he said that he is a witness, this eyewitness of killing two Polish guys.
Mm.
So of course, all the Polish media starting to say that he's a liar. Nothing. It's not. There was nothing like this. The problem is that we can't verify. We can't verify because all this zone is closed. Is closed for the journalists, Polish journalists,
Yeah.
journalists from all over the world. It is closed. So it is area of 5 kilometers east from the Belarus, which is closed. And no, normally, if he are saying that normally, if you want to give
well, the strip is 5 kilometers wide, but it's really big, like because it stretches out throughout the border. It's not in one little zone.
yes, it is
Yeah.
200 kilometers. 200
Yeah.
kilometers of 5 kilometers wide, this zone. So normally, if somebody accuse somebody of killing, the journalist all very quickly needs to go there and verify. The Polish journalists don't want to go there and verify this information. They said, no, he is an agent of Lukashenko, he is lying, that's all, a finish of history. And it is very shame for the Poland, because maybe I don't know he's telling right or he's not telling right, but if is this accusation which is repeated in the Belarusian television, Russian television, and many other television in the world, because also the medias from the Arab countries are interesting about this news, the obligation of Polish journalists, the obligation of Polish politicians is creating I don't know, inquire about this in the parliament and ask the question of the Polish politicians if it's true or it is not true, and they don't want to do it. All the political parties, also the Social Democratic Party, they say, no, you don't need to listen to him. It is the Russian spy, Russian propaganda, blah 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 blah. It's something. It's ridiculous. For example, the Polish defense minister, who is the guy responsible for the Polish army, he said this guy, he fled to Belarus because he was a driver with alcohol and he could go to prison. No, it's not serious.
Okay.
If he driving car with alcohol, why he was in army in this border? So what, he's driving this car in the border or what? So it is, this explanation is not serious. Oh, Milling Wee asking question. Which of your videos should I watch to learn more about Poland, its communist revolution? Oh, it's very wide subject, the communist movement on Poland.
Yeah, you have a ton of videos on that, but it's not a subject that you can just go through one video and get. No.
Yes, I suggested the lectures of the Bruno Drwęski, but it is the lectures concerning the some subject, and I think that it is lectures already reserved for the people who know something about the history of the leftist movement in Poland. But there are some questions which are very important, not only for the history of the Polish communist movement, but also for the history of the international communist movement. And there is we start this channel with 4 lectures concerning the year 1956. 1956, it is one of the important date for this Marxist-Leninist anti-revisionist movement. They accuse Khrushchev of the treason, and that after 1956 the contra-revolution, the capitalism was restored in the Soviet Union, in Poland, blah, blah. So we have some lectures of Bruno concerning the question of the what was happened in the Polish Workers United Working Party after the death of Bierut. So this is the fight of the fractions. There was a lecture about the Poznań uprising in 1956, and also there are the lecture about this October stuff with Gomułka when Gomułka take power. But it is it is already something which you need to know the history of the socialist Poland to understand. I one time I made one presentation about history of the Polish socialist movement in 19th century. There is a lecture when I speak with Mateusz Piskorski about this debate in Polish socialist movement concerning the national question between the Socialist Party and the Social Democratic Party. But all this channel is about the history of the Polish socialist movement. So I can't choose one video, but maybe we need to prepare a video like this.
Well, I think there should be like a base, I guess a baseline that talks a general overview of how history progressed from one point to the other point. But it depends on what specifically you want to know about it. Also, it's because people ask general questions like that, but most of the time I think they want like specific, more specific matters to look into. Like, I don't know, do they have like agrarian reform, or they yeah, it's like the most that I have seen is like people want like more specific answers. So maybe ask what specifically you want to know, because this is too general.
If I need to define what is the objective of this channel, I can say that it is three things. One things, and this channel was created 1 year ago when in Poland we have the biggest mass movement of protest since Contrrevolution. It was a women's strike, it was the mass movement of Polish women, but also the other branch of Polish society who supported the Polish women and who fight against the PIS government. So it was a time when the leftists from other countries wrote to us and asked about interview. Can we explain what's happened in Poland? And in this time I understand that it is something very important to have the medium who present important information about Poland. Important information, not talking day after day, but if there is something important that the socialists from other countries are interested about Poland, we need use this, we need create medium when we can explain it. So if there are something interesting in Poland, it is this. Second thing, it's a tool for building the international relationships. I think that it's something very, very important for socialist movement in Poland to have allies in other countries. Of course, alliance, it is not that if I talk with somebody I need to agree with him in 100%, but in this propaganda in Poland that communist movement is dying, nobody care about Marxism. It's very important to show the Polish people that we have friends, we have comrades, and all over the world, in Vietnam, in
Yeah,
Peru, in United
of course.
States, and it's continue. And I invite you, if you want to say something about class struggle in your country, about your activity, how you spread Marxism, I this channel is for this. And so it is two things important. And third thing, if I don't have contact with somebody who wants to speak with me, and if in Poland there are nothing interesting, so we can make these lectures about history of Poland, but it is only when there are no other stuff. When nobody interesting is in Poland, okay, I can continue to present Poland. It's a lot of job. I make history studies about the history of the revolutionary movement in Poland and Russia, so I can speak and speak. But it is not something, and I don't think that this channel will be very popular if there will be 300 lectures about history of the Polish socialist movement, because nobody care about Polish socialist movement, because it is not very inspiring. It is not inspiring like the Bolshevik Party, Chinese Communist Party, Vietnamese Revolution, Cuban Revolution, and other stuff. Poland is long behind this movement,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. Mostly because it's not ongoing. It's not happening right now. Like Poland is capitalist.
Yes, but also because, for example, there is one channel, Russian speaking channel, Krasnobay. It is the channel made by the comrades from Belarus, Marxists from Belarus,
Hmm.
and they organize conversation. They are in one room, and two or three guys, and in the back there is a statue of Felix Dzierżyński. Felix Dzierżyński, he was born in Belarus. He has a monument in Belarus, and for me it is something that they are stealing us, the Dzierżyński. It is our guy. It is
Yeah,
Polish communists, and they take our Dzierżyński, and no, it is our Dzierżyński. so but in Poland nobody care about Dzierżyński, so of course they
yeah,
have rights for but uh, I didn't check it, but I think that they present Dzierżyński like Belarusian or Russian revolutionary. Uh, so it is one example. Second example is the Rosa Luxemburg. You can
yeah.
make you can find all these YouTube lectures about Rosa Luxemburg, and very often they don't say a word about the Polish activity of Rosa Luxemburg. They say only,
And they don't say that she's from Poland at all. Like, she's from my
yes,
city. She is from my city. Like,
yes. But I can imagine situation when somebody was born in one country, but in his mind he totally is disconnected from this country. But it is not example of Rosa Luxemburg. Rosa Luxemburg,
yeah,
when she was a member of the German Social Democracy, she worked to organize the Polish people in the territory which was taken by Germany with Polish population. And also, she tried to organize Polish workers in Berlin and in the other places where there was a migration of the migrant workers. And the Rosa Luxemburg have a lot of discussion with these leaders of the Social Democratic Party, who publicly said we support the autonomy of the Polish people. But in the private conversation, they said we support assimilation. The best way for these Polish people is assimilation, Germanization of this nation. And Rosa Luxemburg was very, very angry about this guy. They said, no, 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 we are not. And also, there is the question why she never became a leader of the Social Democratic Party. Some people say because she was a woman, but another say no, not because she was a woman, because she was a Pole, and it was something that she was discriminated in the not in the German society, but in the German Marxist Social Democratic Party by these guys who all the time speak about the liberation, socialist, Marxism, blah blah blah. They were a little racist against Poland and
Xenophobic.
xenophobic, yes,
Yeah.
and for the identity of Rosa Luxemburg, she started to prenumerate newspapers in Polish language. When she go to Silesia in the time of the election, she wrote to her husband that here in Silesia I am feeling like that I am in my home, that I am listening Polish language, I am listening, I am eating the Polish food, I am in my home, not in Berlin but here in Silesia. So it is
Yeah.
very, very strange that when she was in the very active in the socialist Polish movement, she was against Polish patriotism because she fight with the PPS. But when she emigrated to Berlin, she became a, how to say, nostalgic for the Polish language, Polish culture, and it is something of the biography Rosa Luxemburg, which are not presented in this. And there is a lot of Marxist lectures about Rosa Luxemburg, but they are not saying about this. And many other subjects like this, how the people from the Polish background emigrated to. Maybe it will be my history also, and one day I will be very active in the French communist movement, and nobody
Mhm.
care about odrodzenie communism.
Yeah.
Yes, so 1 hour. Okay, 1 hour. If we have some subject to speak, one more 15 minutes.
Are there any questions?
Question. There is one comment here. It's Евгений Остроумов. На русском по теме есть отличная монография Платошкин Н.Н. Сандинистская революция в Никарагуа. Предыстория и последствия. After there is a comment 10 NP. It is the same. Sandinista Revolution in Nicaragua, Background and Consequences, 2015. Blah, 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 blah. Nicaragua re-established ties with China is not only a win-win for both countries, but also a historical event of Central and South America. Orthodox Church is doing the same in Serbia. When we spoke about the Catholic Church, but I don't know, Catholic Church in Poland or Catholic Church in Nicaragua, because if the Orthodox Church in Serbia are doing the same things like in Nicaragua, it's good, but if in Poland, it's not good. I hope the new president of Honduras, Xiomara Castro, would fulfill her campaign commitment to re-establish ties with China. Yes, but you have to remember that Xiomara appears to be more leftist than Manuel. He was in the center-right party during his presidency. Xiomara became, as the first lady, shake his presidency sharply to left. Question, and this is something I struggle with. Is it possible she saw nationalism, patriotism as a reactionary in her own place? This is question about Rosa Luxemburg, I suppose.
Oh,
Mm, question, and this is something I struggle with. Is it possible she saw nationalism, patriotism as reactionary in her own place?
yeah, for sure. I would say, yeah.
Yes, yes, but could you explain more? What do you?
Um, the same way that, like there was a conversation in the leftist American movement, whatever, about the issue of patriotism. And well, America has a specific history with how they were founded, so it's like very, very unique situation. Um, but it has like some points of similarity with Poland as well. Um, that and like I would say in general that white patriotism just cannot be revolutionary. There is nothing about white patriotism specifically that could that could be liberatory. It's it's reactionary sort of by default, and nationalism of the colonized is the one that has any sort of traction, first of all, because we see all of the kind of nationalist movements that have or the other way around, actually it's the socialist movement that is built around nationality, not the other way around, not nationalism built on socialism, if that makes sense. So which would be like the case in case of like America, Poland, whatever other Western European countries. Yeah,
No, but
I think.
I think that this situation of Rosa Luxemburg is very, very unique situation. I think that it's very difficult to find another people in a similar situation, because she was born in the Jewish family. She was born in the Russian state. She was born in the society dominated by Polish people. So already her identity, national identity, it is the Jewish, Polish citizens of Russia. And after, when she emigrated to Germany, also there is a question of being a member of one of the most important party in Germany. So when we talk about this patriotic question, is the question patriotic by which nation? Because normally, if she is against, if she wants to try to define her identity like from the patriotic sense, normally she needs to try to search this Jewish identity, because her parents were Jewish,
Well,
but
yes,
she
but
chose
Jewish.
they chosen to become Polish. They chosen to assimilate with Polish culture. After,
Mhm.
she decided to assimilate with German, and it's because if she will be born in Poland, like in Polish family, and she will emigrate to Germany, it will be something different. But it is three level of the identity: Jewish identity, Polish identity, and after became a leader of the Communist Party in Germany. And now
But
I
there's a difference between because like Jews are Jews is not a race and it's not a nationality; it's an ethnicity. and it's a thing that like it's it's not something you can change. It's not something that you can just like switch on and off, and it's not something as nationality that you can acquire in some way. It just is some it just is it just is, you know. And it's not something like race that is sort of imposed on you by the way that you look and by the way that your phenotype makes you look, whatever. uh, it's not something also that is under your control, again, as your nationality. So it's not exactly the same. And then also I will say that Polish Jews have like a little bit of a different culture. German Jews have a little bit of a different culture. You know, Jews from different places have like a little bits, you know, sprinkles of like the nationality that they are a part of by the way of the country that they are born into, you know. So it and like and the other thing, because I'm not sure, but her first language um was not Hebrew or
No, Hebrew, absolutely not, because it was the
uh,
death language. If
and not Yiddish either. It was not. I don't think it was her language.
Yiddish or Polish, but not Hebrew. Hebrew was created after, I think.
No, no. I mean, well, no. Like you are sort of right. Like Hebrew is a dead language in a way. It's complicated. But the restoration movement has started like in the late 1800s. Yeah, in the late like 80 something.
Yes, but I think that Rosa Luxemburg was very rational person.
Hmm.
Her political or economic analyses are rational. And when she debated this question of the patriotism, when she made this discussion with the Polish Socialist Party, it is rational discussion. These things which I said before about this nostalgia, Polish nostalgia, it was something where what which was not published in the public. She never in the journal of SPD, she never accused the leaders of the SPD that they are xenophobe. It was only her private opinion when she wrote to Jogiches or another guys that she said that these guys are xenophobic, anti-Polish, but it was not something which she publicly discussed. And nostalgia,
Yeah, of course.
it is not rational that somebody. Also, I always also have the situation like this that when I cross the Polish border, I stop in the restaurant and I buy żurek soup or stuff like this. It's not
Yeah,
rationally that sometimes I need to go from the autoroute to find this place where I can eat Polish food. First time
yeah,
after 1 year when I was in the emigration. But it's after normally I have this nostalgic attitude in Poland after for 2 3 days after it's finished. That
hmm,
I come, I will say hello to my family of my wife, and after I forget that I have nostalgia for Poland. I started to It's when I start to listening what the TVP Info or another Polish media, I said no, 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 it's time to come back.
Yeah.
But there is something, I'm driving the car and there is the place where I have nothing to do. So I am looking for this information. Where is Görlitz? Because Görlitz is Poland. It is the last German city before the border with Poland. So there is, I don't know, 300 from the Polish border. I am going and faster. Oh, girl, it's 250, 200, 150, and it's something from the perspective, rational perspective. It's not logic because I am not stopping in Görlitz. I have never been in Görlitz. I have been in Bautzen. I have been in Dresden. I have been in Zgorzelec in Polish side, but I have never stopped in Görlitz. But this situation that I'm going is border of Poland. Yes, I cross. And what's that? I have to. There is one more 500 kilometers to go. So and nothing changed.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, you know what? I will say that that this topic that she raised this I don't know. Like I didn't know about that this was something that she was talking to anybody about. So this is something that I need to look up because I didn't know.
I found this lecture about this in the normally when I type Rosa Luxemburg, there is the, I don't know, Socialist Party of something, Communist Party of something, or the Marxist circles of something, and I found the lecture about Rosa Luxemburg in French language, which was in the YouTube channel of the progressive Jews from Belgium or Brussels. And it's so after I watched another videos, but these videos are about Jewish, and so it is what not interesting for me. But
Well, it should be.
yes, but there is a lot of interesting videos in the YouTube. So
Yeah.
I
got it.
I will try to find this, but how?
If it's in French, I don't know French. I know like 5 words.
Yeah, but um, I think that it is difficult to find this. No. No, but with if you understand English, with a little effort and learning, you can also very quickly learn French to understand what they are talking. Because speaking French is something different. Speaking French is I have all the time problem with speaking French correctly without mistakes, because it is you have the problem of this alphabet, French alphabet, that is already when you see the written language, French written language, and you want to read it, you don't pronounce le dernier word, dernier letter. and there is a lot of
Mhm.
complication how to but when you only listening, a lot of words are similar to English.
Okay.
Uh, Albert Szymański book Class Struggle in Socialist Poland is a great book on Polish socialism. Um, we need to remember this guy, Albert Szymański. Okay, are we have another subject interesting, or it's time to finish? Maybe I have question for you,
Yeah.
because I to returning for this uh, movement which existed in Poland 1 year ago, movement
Yes.
against banning abortion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this fight continue in last I think 2 months ago there was a big demonstration in Poland because one of the women because her abortion was not allowed, she died in the Pszczyna hospital.
Yes.
So there was a demonstration, and also now there are the people who are try to find the signatures to to make the project of the law which will make abortion legal until I don't know 12 weeks or something like this. So the abortion is a very important question for the Polish left. And what do you think about the situation in Nicaragua, where is the country which in one side make a leftist economic reform, and in the other side they also have this ban of abortion?
They do? Okay. I didn't know.
Yes, they
Uh,
do. And I wait, I will find. Mm, no.
oh yeah. 2006. Yeah, it's a similar situation to Poland actually. Like the ban done in 2006 prohibits uh, abortion completely, where before it could be done for uh, reasons that have to do with health, uh, or rather, on the other hand, the opposite actually. If there is a cause, um, if there is a no, if there is a possibility that the mother or the baby is not going to be alive for either very long or at all after the baby is delivered. So uh I don't know. I will say no comment.
No, my response for this question is that it's not something original in this Latin America. I think that there is only
Oh yeah.
Cuba and in recently also Argentina, which are a little better, but it is politic of all these leftist countries, Venezuela, Bolivia, Peru. In all these countries, the question of abortion is much worse than in imperialist countries. Maybe not in United States today, because in United States we observe the reactionary way that they ban abortion in Texas recently. In another country state also recently they banned this. So the United States are changing now, But in the most states of United States, abortion is legal all the time, and in most of the NATO countries are legal. And
I will also say it is different for white women and different for non-white women. So like there's even if the legality, the issue of legality of abortion uh, has much more impact on black and brown communities than it does on white communities. Like white people and white women can go and pay somewhere else to get an abortion. A lot of black and brown women cannot do that. So it's that. Another thing that has to do with Latin America specifically is that the colonization, that's the outcome of that, and the way that religion plays a part in that is also pretty significant. I think that's all.
is the comment here. Leo Nomilini wrote, Peru Libre, who just came to power, also also supports abortion ban. The ex-government used forced sterilizations against Indian people, and most there are skeptical of government abortions. Yes, but the practical question is not what we are saying here, because nobody care in Poland. The practical question is, in one day we will go to the demonstration in Poland, and with the I don't know, newspapers. We don't have newspapers, but when in one day we will have newspapers, and in this newspaper we will wrote article about Hugo Chavez or about Evo Morales or about Daniel Ortega or about another leftist from America Latin, and we will want to distribute our newspapers in this feminist movement, and they will take this newspaper. Oh, this guy also in Venezuela, he's against abortion. Go fuck out with this. You support the psychopaths who are against women, blah blah blah. So this, how to, because if this movement in Poland is not active, we can say we don't care. But my prediction is that if somebody will kick out the government of law and justice, it will be the results of the repetition of this movement which existed 1 year ago. Of course, not leading by the Marta Lempart, but I think that the women movement in Poland didn't say the last word. It will be something which sooner or later will explode. And in Poland, it is a strategic question that we can't organize mass movement in Poland, and we can try. I don't know. We can try with Kołodziejczak, but even Kołodziejczak, he wanted when this movement was very very strong. Kołodziejczak and Agro-Unia came to this demonstration. So this is the problem of this is the question which I want to ask the comrade Ramiro. Okay, I think that we can finish that 1 hour 27 minutes. It's good. Somebody who wanted to listen about Nicaragua, maybe he's disappointed, but I found that the discussion was interesting. So I will finish this.